It's one of the most controversial military operations in recent years. On the 3rd of January, US Special Forces abducted President Nicolás Maduro and his wife Cilia Flores from Caracas, Venezuela, and brought them to stand trial in the United States. Now, Operation Absolute Resolve, as it's been called, has invited widespread international condemnation, especially from Russia and China. But on the face of it, the US seems to have mounted an extraordinary special forces operation, one that's almost unparalleled in recent history. Now, operations like this call for exceptional training, planning, and execution, and of course, top-tier military infrastructure to insert special forces into the heart of a country larger than Pakistan, land inside a heavily fortified military garrison, and grab that country's most heavily guarded individual without suffering casualties. Now let's take a look at the operation from what we know about it so far. Now, firstly, the target. Until 2019, President Maduro and his wife stayed in the Flores Palace. That's the official Venezuelan presidential residence in Caracas. The Venezuelan capital has around 5 million inhabitants, and it's located along a river in the northern part of Venezuela within the Caracas Valley. Now, the valley is separated from the Caribbean Sea coast here by a steep 2,200 meter high mountain range right here. Now, after 2019, Maduro has believed to have shifted to a place called the Fuerza Tiuna. That's the Fort Tiuna garrison, deep inside Caracas. Now, Tiuna houses the Ministry of Defense, the military academy, and troop barracks. The president is believed to have been guarded by Cuban Special Forces personnel, and he lived in a fortified personal bunker dubbed La Roca, or the Rock. Now, US Joint Chiefs of Staff General John Kane told a press briefing that the operation was a result of months of work by our intelligence teammates to find Maduro and to understand how he moved, where he lived, where he traveled, what he ate, what he wore, and what were his pets. Now, it's clear from all of this that this is an operation that was several months in the planning stage. The CIA would have handed over detailed layouts of the garrison, including Maduro's bunker, to the US Special Operations Command to aid mission planning. Now, in an interview to Fox News, Trump mentioned that the US Special Forces team was armed with gas cutters in case they had to cut through steel doors. Now, US personnel would have rehearsed their extraction plan on locations similar to Fort Tiuna in the US. They would have probably created layouts to rehearse swift insertions and extractions. They would have practiced this operation to the very last detail with every contingency, including steel doors and possible helicopter crashes and fatalities. This is standard SOP for special operations missions like this one. Now, for the helicopters, that's very crucial. The insertion into Caracas. The helicopters chosen for this mission were from the US military's 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment, or SOAR, the automatic choice to fly commandos in for this mission. They're dubbed the Night Stalkers for their night flying proficiency. They're among the US military's most highly specialized aviation units. Now, they were formed in the aftermath of the disastrous Iran operation in 1980. They provide all the helicopter support for the US Special Operations Command missions, and they fly a variety of helicopters, from the CH-46 Chinook, which can carry around 33 fully equipped commandos, or the HH-60 Pavehawk, which can carry around a dozen commandos. They also operate these heavily armed helicopter gunships like the MH-60 Direct Air Penetrator, or the DAP. Now, the DAP is a MH-60 Black Hawk that's fitted out as a gunship. It has M134 miniguns, Stinger air-to-air missiles, a 30mm chain gun, AGM-114 Hellfire missiles, and it even has a forward-looking infrared pod, a FLIR pod, which has a laser designator for its missiles. Now, this gunship doesn't carry any passengers, as all its cabin space is taken up by ammunition. Now, these are the kind of helicopters that the US Special Forces would have flown in to the mission to capture Maduro, and the choice of the special operators for this would have fallen on Delta Force. Now, it's the US first operational detachment, Delta. It's better known as Delta Force. They're selected for this mission because they are one of the only handful of US Tier 1 units, and they're tasked with hostage rescue, counterterrorism, and special reconnaissance. The operation began shortly after midnight. The US military began striking at targets inside Caracas, ammunition dumps, air defense sites, and of course, sites in Fort Tijuana and the military airbase nearby. Now, for the thousands of Venezuelan troops on the ground, it would have seemed like the much anticipated US invasion of Venezuela was underway. But importantly, some of these attacks were meant for hacking a safe air corridor from the USS Iwo Jima standing off the coast of Venezuela to Fort Tijuana. Air defense radars, early warning radar sites, surface-to-air missile launchers which could shoot down the helicopters were destroyed in what are called suppression of enemy air defenses operations before the SOAR helicopters could lift off the decks of the USS Iwo Jima. A lot of the air defense coverage in and around Fort Tijuana would have been completely neutralized. Now, the Iwo Jima was chosen as a launch pad for the helicopters because they are far from the public view and possible alerts of unusual helicopter activity in land bases. Now, the US deployed, believe it or not, over 150 aircraft for this mission, including fighter jets, bombers, drones, surveillance aircraft, intelligence aircraft, and helicopters, of course. To give you an idea, Venezuela's Air Force has a total of just 220 aircraft. Now, the SOAR helicopters are believed to have landed somewhere on the roof of buildings inside Tijuana's military garrison at around 1 a.m. Now, rooftops possibly chosen because they offer protection to the helicopters from small arms fire on the ground. Now, the most important part of this mission is the time on ground. It's also known as time on target or exposure in the landing and extraction zone. It's planned to be as short as possible. It's based on what are known as the METTT factors: mission, enemy, terrain, troops available, and of course, time. Once the helicopters land, the commandos would have jumped out and begun racing against time, making breaches, breaking down doors, gunning down enemy soldiers, while simultaneously searching for Maduro and his wife. Now, in such extraction missions, helicopters don't spend a lot of time on the ground. During Operation Neptune Spear, the operation to kill Osama bin Laden, SEAL Team 6's ground time was approximately 40 minutes. Now, every minute that the commandos spend on the ground increases their chances of being intercepted and destroyed by the enemy. Now, the Absolute Resolve mission helicopters are believed to have come under fire, but are believed to have replied to that fire with overwhelming force and self-defense, as US officials said. The entire operation is believed to have lasted under 3 hours from the flight time to and from the ship. Now, this is based on reports that the helicopters were clear and over the water by 3:29 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, it's quite possible that the helicopters flew a different route from the one that they flew in from, using the mountains around Caracas possibly to escape detection and to bring Maduro back to the United States to face justice.